I'm going to be embarking on a journey to the heart of Europe, where a long weekend in Luxembourg promises to unveil the hidden treasures of this small yet mighty nation. While much of our adventure unfolds in the vibrant streets of Luxembourg City, we'll also venture into the enchanting Müllerthal region, a mere stone's throw away from the urban bustle, to explore its captivating landscapes. Luxembourg is a tiny country nestled between Germany, Belgium and France, with a population of only 650,000 inhabitants, of which around 50% of these are expats, which can partly be explained by the country's political stability, high quality of life, and loads of economic opportunities. This will actually be my first solo trip since I did a gap semester at uni when I was like 22, which was about 6 years ago now. So I was really looking forward to seeing if I still actually enjoyed this kind of trip. So let's get into it. The flight itself from London is only an hour and a quarter, which gives me time on the Friday night to still go and explore the city. So after getting through the airport, I just headed straight for the city, straight into my hostel, just dumped my stuff off there and just basically contemplate my next move.
Hey, so I've packed really warm for this trip, and I've just got to my room, and as you can see, I obviously didn't pack any sunglasses, did I? And it's really sunny. But yeah, I think the plan is tonight, Friday night, I'll find a nice place on the hill that I've just gone past on the bus, and just watch the sunset, I think.
Now, that sunset never actually materialised because I totally overestimated how far away the hill was, and plus I took the wrong route to actually get there. So obviously that doesn't help. But it was still nice to use the evening to get my bearings around the city before a really busy day hiking tomorrow.
Woke up on morning one of Luxembourg, and today is the hiking day. So yesterday I didn't quite catch the sunset that I wanted to, but the sun is still glorious, the weather's alright. But yeah, the plan today is to just try and go to Bedorf, I think it's how you pronounce it. So it's a small village in the Müllerthal region, or Müllerthal region, however you pronounce it, and just try and get some information on some short hikes around the area, you know, nothing too fancy, just 2 or 3 kilometers, something like that, and then maybe move on to a second village as well. So potentially like Echternach or I don't know, any others that they recommend at the tourist centre. So yeah, that's the plan.
So after arriving in Bedorf, I got off the bus and I thought, what am I doing here? It was just nothing. So I followed the maps down to wherever it was taking me, and luckily it took me down some hills towards a campsite, and then it opened up into some really lush forest area. And so I was like, oh, thank God I'm not in the wrong place here. And then got to the visitor centre and had a bit of a communication issue.
So just set off on the trail from the Bedorf Information Centre, and I got there and I started asking questions in English, obviously, as you do. And she's like, no. I'm like, no English? And she said no. So she only spoke German, French, and another language that I can't remember. But that's the... British people, we're so arrogant, aren't we? We just assume that everywhere speaks English, just because it's our first language and it's so widely spoken. But anyway, I figured out a trail. There's hardly any English here, but hopefully it's all good. We'll soon find out, won't we?
And it did turn out all good in the end, because after about 10 minutes of hiking, I was at the unique landscapes that I came to this region to see.
Oh, it's so tight in here. Oh my God, it's so narrow. This is not for a claustrophobic person, not one bit. Whoa. Oh wow. Don't scrape the jacket, don't scrape the jacket. This one's a skinny one. I'll take the bag off for this one.
Now, I'm not much of a rock nerd, but these formations were pretty impressive. Apparently they date back to the Jurassic period, which means these rocks are over 145 million years old. And basically what's happened is, over millions of years, rainwater has seeped into the sandstone's cracks, gradually dissolving all the minerals that bind the rocks together, and then during colder periods, water trapped in the rocks' crevices would freeze, expand, and act like a wedge, forcing the cracks wider apart. And that's managed to carve out the shapes that we see today.
And the heavens have finally opened up. Good decision to bring the waterproof.
It really did start to hammer it down at this point, so I was looking for some cover, and I know that from my research there was some caves that you can go through, and I saw these caves and I thought, you know what, how hard could it actually be?
It's just a black hole. I'm gonna go in. Alright, I chickened out. I got only so far, but it's a bit scary. Felt like the Minotaur was gonna come after me.
Yeah, they were pretty scary, because I knew that if I went over on my ankle in those caves, I was done, because it was just pure silence and black. So I was like, no, I'll play it safe. I'll go the long way around, even though it was peeing it down.
Spontaneous decision. I've just had my ham roll that I nicked from the hostel this morning, and well, I didn't nick it technically, it's part of the breakfast, so I just wrapped it up and brought it handy. Anyway, sun's out, and I was originally going to do the B5 local trail, but the legs are feeling good, so I think I may as well just do the classic Müllerthal trail all the way back to Müllerthal. It's just like an extra 2 kilometers. What I was going to do, I was just going to do a circle back to Dorf, but I'm just going to go for it and see how it ends up. But yeah, we'll see. You can see in the background just beautiful trees everywhere. It's just like the hikes I have back home, so yeah, in my element really. Made it to Müllerthal after a 5-mile walk from Bedorf, so now I'm just going to head up to the, what is it called? Heringenmillen Information Centre, and try and get a trail to see this waterfall that I see all over the internet when I'm searching for things to do in Luxembourg and in the Müllerthal region. See if it's worth all the hype. I'm not that buzzed about it, I don't think it's going to be, but I might be wrong. All my research beforehand about the Schlethentumpel waterfall, totally said that wrong, said that all the trails were closed, but I've just been to the information centre in Müllerthal, and they've said that actually there is a detour, so I'm going to try and pick up the detour route and follow that, see how that goes. I've changed plans. I looked at the transport back to the city, and I'd have to wait another couple of hours. So yeah, I've just decided to go back. I wasn't that buzzed about the waterfall anyway, so, and I've already bitten off more than I can chew today. Legs are feeling a bit weary, so I just thought, you know what, I'll play it sensible, being as I'm on my own as well. So yeah, waiting for the bus now to go back.
It was a good decision to skip the waterfall, because once again the weather took a turn for the worse and my legs were battered after covering so many miles, especially with a dodgy hip flexor. Went back to the hostel to just relax and got chatting to a couple of the lads that were staying in my dorm. And we actually went out for some food together that night and had a really nice evening out. And I really did enjoy that part of the day, because when I was bouncing around some hostels in 2018, I never stayed in one place long enough to give myself the chance to go and experience those spontaneous moments, you know, those meals out with new friends. So I'm glad I got a chance to put that right.
I missed breakfast. For God's sake. Off to a great start today, obviously. I missed breakfast. Anyway, the plan is I've got a walking tour at 2 PM and it's like 9:30 now, so I'm going to walk up to the old fortress, because there was a dude in the hostel where I was staying in my room who went up to it yesterday and said that it was worth it. So that's what I'm going to do today, yeah, come back into the centre for the walking tour at 2 p.m. and just have a bit of a chill really, because I covered like 11 miles yesterday, so the legs are still a bit weary again. So yeah, we'll see how much I can manage today.
After getting over the disappointment of missing breakfast, I started to make my way up the hill to Fort Tungen, which was built by the Austrians nearly 300 years ago to serve as a key component in the defence of the city against sieges. Today, the fort stands as an historical monument offering insights into Luxembourg's rich military heritage and serving as a cultural landmark.
So I've just got done walking around the old fortress, and it's pretty good, you know, especially if you're a history buff. If you're a history buff, then you've just got to do it. If not, and you're sort of tired of seeing loads of museums, then, you know, maybe just give it a skip, but you know, and just admire it from the outside.
After wandering around the fort for a little while longer, I made my way back over to the city centre just to grab some lunch before the walking tour started.
Anymore. And in these tunnels, they had storage for food, for drinks, for bullets and powder. So in case of a siege, in case of a fight that would last a few weeks, they were able to live in these tunnels and defend the city in a very effective way. The parts you now as tourists can visit, as in other bigger cities, but even from the medieval age on, always like a lot of people wanted to stay in the sun. The district just below us is called Grund, the Grund district.
I really enjoyed the walking tour today because the guide he was the perfect guide, right? He was knowledgeable, he was passionate, and you know, he was humorous as well. He could throw in the odd joke which made everyone laugh. So, you know, sometimes the walking tours can be a little bit boring if you get a non-passionate, non-humorous guide, but nah, he was really good. You could just tell that he just really enjoyed his job and really enjoyed talking to people from all around the world, which was great. And then once the walking tour was done, after a couple of hours, I just went around a couple of sites that we'd been to on the walking tour. One of them was the Gold Lady, which is a statue that's 21 meters in the air, a gold lady holding a wreath, and it's like a remembrance for all of the Luxembourg soldiers that fought in both World Wars and the Korean War as well. And across the bridge as well, there's this big building, and I don't know what it is actually called, but it's got a blue roof, and anyone who's looked for flights to Luxembourg on Skyscanner, and I looked at a lot of flights, will just see this building. So I had to go and see that because I looked at it so many times when I was booking the flights.
My legs are shot away after all the walking over the last 2 days, especially obviously yesterday's hike and then the walking tour that I've done today. I've covered about 17 miles or so over the last couple of days, so just back at the hostel now, just taking it easy. You know, they do some food, pool table downstairs. I might just go and just play a little bit of pool and grab some food down there. I can't be bothered to go back up to the city and add some more miles to it.
As you can see, I was looking pretty tired at this point, but I was still really looking forward to going to see the casemates in the morning, and that would be my last morning in the city as well.
In the casemates currently, and it's a really cool underground tunnel system underneath the city of Luxembourg, which is pretty cool. I'm only like 2 minutes into exploring, but there's like loads of holes in the wall to do with the defence of Luxembourg during, I don't know, all the wars of the past, and yeah, there's loads of other interesting info as well. Some good views.
I obviously hadn't read the brochure at that point, but what I went on to discover was that the casemates have a huge historical significance to the city, dating back all the way to the 17th century under Spanish rule, and have since been updated as part of Luxembourg's old fortifications to earn the city the nickname Gibraltar of the North. Today, visitors can explore around 10 miles of old passages, which means it shouldn't surprise anyone that this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
cool. Every now and again you come to a hole in the wall with a great view of the sea. Not bad.
After the casemates, I just made my way to a coffee shop just to have a drink before heading off to the airport and, you know, going through all that rigmarole. So it was a really nice trip all in all because it was well paced out. You know, I did everything that I wanted to. Sometimes you can go on city breaks and you end up with too much time at the end, so you end up revisiting certain things, or sometimes you don't have enough time, whereas this was just right. And so that was the end of the trip. And yeah, I did have an amazing time in Luxembourg and definitely glad that I went. Glad that I bit the bullet and went for it solo as well. Fortunately for me now, it's only a few weeks until my next adventure with my partner this time, and I'll be going to Cornwall for the very first time.
Another night, another sunset.